Hey, what's up guys, TechTine here, and I'm back again with a brand new video. So if this is your first time on the channel, don't make it your last, and don't be a stranger. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also leave a thumbs up, it helps out the channel more than you think. With that being said, today we're going to be talking about, for the last time, the Galaxy A14 5G. And I say for the last time because it's been 1 year, a little bit over than a year, since this phone has launched. And basically I want to share with you my experience 1 year later, and tell you guys that the Galaxy A15 video is coming up sooner than you think, in the next 3 days maximum. So be sure to be on the lookout for that, and subscribe if you haven't. Trust me, it's going to be a good one. All right, so basically one of my biggest issues with this phone 1 year later is not the fact that they use cheap materials to make this phone. At the end of the day, this was a $200 phone. My issue with that is kind of the infrastructure of the phone itself, right? I don't mind that it's made out of plastic, that's fine, it makes it lighter, so there are some positives to that. However, the infrastructure itself, I guess the kind of chassis and the display was just not put right. So for whatever reason, I wish that hopefully with the A15 they fixed that, so we'll see about that. And the buttons themselves, they're not really the greatest buttons in the world. They're kind of not too clicky or tactile, so they're very mushy. And basically that's my biggest problem when it comes to kind of the design. Other than that, I feel like as far as looks and feels, it's a classic Samsung design, nothing really too crazy other than the material of choice. As far as the display goes, in my opinion, this is one of this phone's strongest suit, which is the screen. So it gives you a nice 1080p LCD panel that is fairly bright, right? It's not as bright as an OLED display, but that's fine. And as far as sharpness and detail and color accuracy and things like that, it works perfectly. And not to mention the fact that it does use 90 Hz refresh rate. So quality on here is nice. Yeah, the side bezels and the top and bottom bezels are bigger than kind of the average phone nowadays, but I mean, I'm gonna let that pass on the fact that at the end of the day, this is, or was, let's say, a kind of a budget phone. So the display, no issues with that, and especially the fact that they didn't opt in to use kind of a cheap OLED display that will give you burn-in within a year. So the LCD panel, I feel like, was a great choice by Samsung. It worked out, it did its job perfectly, and it still is doing the same thing. So watching videos, catching on social media and things like that, moving through the phone, it's very nicely done from Samsung. So a big thumbs up when it comes to the display. I've said that since day one, and that has not changed at all a year later. So real quick, I want to touch up on the topic of the camera. So you get a 50 megapixel main sensor, a 2 megapixel macro sensor, as well as a 2 megapixel depth sensor. Now, with this year's A15, they did provide an ultra wide, which we will definitely take a look at in the next couple of days. But basically the story behind image quality is that it's all right. Actually, I would say it's a little bit better than all right considering the price. So in good lighting conditions, this phone does fairly well, and I feel like a lot of phones nowadays do so. However, the image quality itself, if I want to look a little bit into more details, it's kind of dull, not that vibrant, not that saturated that we're used to from Samsung phones. Hopefully the A15 has fixed that, but that's just something to note. The dynamic range on here is not the strongest, so you're not going to see kind of bright, vivid skies or trees and things like that. Indoor photography is kind of okay. There's a little bit more noise when it comes to that, and the shadows and the color accuracy is just not that good. As far as the selfie camera, it's just, no, it's very soft, and it provides kind of brighter than I would like pictures, so it tends to overexpose a little bit. And the video quality it's okay. That's all I'm gonna say to that. I wish it was just a better capable phone when it comes to video, but I can't really ask for too much considering the price of this phone. Overall though, I know I kind of bashed the camera a little bit, but like I said, in good lighting conditions, you should be expecting to take some decent pictures. As far as the performance goes, I don't want to kind of go too much detail into what the specs are. I'll leave them in the description below. But basically, you do get 64 gigabyte of storage and 5000 milliamp hour battery. And the strongest suit when it comes to the performance is the battery life. So the battery life on here is nothing short of excellent. I didn't really have any issues with battery life at all. Believe it or not, this phone has a bigger battery than Samsung's flagship phone, which is currently the S23. I know that's going to change in the next couple of days. But as of shooting this video, the flagship is still the S23. As far as moving through the apps and browsing through social media, things like that, so the daily tasks basically are fairly good. When you're going to run into problems is when you're more heavy demanding apps and running more than one thing at a time. That's when I kind of noticed hiccups and slowdowns, and over time it did slow down quite a bit, especially the more you load the phone with apps and things like that. Keep in mind that the standard storage is only 64. In a world where I feel like we're getting to the 128 gigabyte kind of standard storage. However, I want to leave you all with this. The Galaxy A15 is coming up. I'm curious to see what type of improvements they did with the changes and things like that. But basically, bottom line, this phone was one of Samsung's most popular phones of all time. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but that's just how I feel. And it just did its job perfectly. It was priced really, really accessibly. So $200, you can get it unlocked. Beautiful. You can get it even cheaper with carriers if you want to. So the big picture with this phone is that you got a great display, a great battery life, a usable camera, I would say, and it just almost complete kind of low to mid-range phone. So with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Be on the lookout for the next couple of videos. Trust me, you don't want to miss it, and I will definitely catch you guys in the next one. Thank you all for watching.